Hey everybody, what's up? So I've recently dropped a video on the new Final Fantasy VII mobile game coming out called Ever Crisis. Since then, I've been trying to bounce around and get some information on it. And this article covers a little bit of monetization that I found. So I'll link it below if you want to go check it out yourself. But I figured we could read through it together and get an idea of just where exactly the monetization is going to lie. Because what would be concerning is if like the story was going to be paywalled somehow or something like that. I know it's going to be a free-to-play game, but it is a mobile game, so there will be monetization. I'm curious about how that's going to manifest. So I'm hoping we get some answers from this article. So let's check it out. Compilation of Final Fantasy VII was once the name for a line of Final Fantasy VII spin-off titles, but it's looking like the recently announced Ever Crisis will actually live up to the compilation name with its story chapters. Mobile title in the vein of 15 Pocket Edition will serve as a comprehensive, bite-sized exploration of the expansive world of Final Fantasy VII and its growing backstory. Players will be able to do that for free, according to Nomura, who is like the director, if I'm not mistaken. He's a big part of Final Fantasy VII. I think he's like a designer. I think he does multiple things. I think he's a big name for Final Fantasy VII. Raised the question of just how 7 would be monetized. The initial announcement made clear that it was a single-player title driven by its story. Single-player title driven by its story, but was unclear on how it would make Square Enix money. Nomura answered that the story chapters themselves would be free to access, as would the core gameplay. However, the game will feature gacha elements specifically for acquiring weapons and costumes. So that was my speculation. The special weapons will come with interesting gimmicks that weren't present in the original games. There will also be new and original costumes. Okay, cool. So it seems to be the characters are going to be staples, and then the gacha elements are weapons and costumes. I'm very interested in how that's going to work, because there's obviously a lot of ways that could go as far as acquiring things and powering them up, or however that works. I am going to be interested to see how we get characters. If it's the same way where you play through the story and at a certain part of the story you unlock a character or something. I don't really know what to expect there, but that's cool. I'm interested in the new costumes. That's going to be fun. Be interesting too to see if they do new weapons. I think they would have to, right? Because there's quite a few weapons, but enough to carry a mobile game for a long period of time. They're probably going to need some more stuff, right? Okay. Even for players only interested in the story, the chapters of Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis will be considerable in size. It's expected to take up about 10 chapters, with players escaping Midgar by the 3rd chapter. Okay. The game won't be a lockstep recreation of 7 and its spinoffs, though, as evidenced by screenshots of things like seeing Aerith in the party during the first boss battle, the guard scorpion at the reactor. The battle system will allow players to mix things up to take on new challenges unbound by the narrative. The battle system will allow players to mix things up to take on new challenges unbound by the narrative. Okay, so I guess that's not going to be the kind of thing where, like, you lose Aerith at a certain point and can't play her anymore. And the fact that she's in your party so early, I guess, is meaningful as well. Story itself will also feature new content as well as original chapters focusing on things like the backstory of Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier, or the younger days of characters who appear in other Final Fantasy VII games. Nomura clarified that one of the reasons for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis' creation is to establish common ground among the titles of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. Those games vary widely in terms of technology, style, and mechanics, so this will be a way for fans new and old to experience their uniqueness in a unified way. That said, the game won't be a replacement for the originals. Nomura mentioned receiving requests to make the older games playable. All right, so this is pretty interesting. It seems to be pulling from all of the different Final Fantasy things that have been made and kind of compiling them into one. So it seems like the story's going to be there, and in a lot of ways, it kind of, the impression I'm getting from what I'm seeing, it seems like a remake of sorts, but he's saying it's not going to be exactly that. Like it wouldn't replace playing the original game. So I'm very interested. There wasn't as much about monetization in here as I hoped. We do know that it's with weapons and costumes. Acquiring weapons and possibly costumes is what it said. That'll be interesting. I feel like you're going to need more for monetization than just that. I think it's great that the story is not going to be paywalled at all. That's pretty awesome. I'm going to be interested to see though what the like longevity in the game is, right? It can't be over when you finish the story because that's not how these games are designed. These games are designed to keep you playing, to give you an ongoing goal that you're like basically never going to reach, you know, whether it's a collector or whatever it may be, you know, like Raid, for example, you know, that drive to get all the champs and to be able to do the newest content. And it's going to be interesting to see what the structure of this game is because it does seem very story driven, which is great. But where's the farming going to come into play? What's that system going to look like? It says single player title, so I don't know if that means there's going to be no PvP at all, or if it just means like you can't group up and play together. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what the elements. It's weird that we're this close to a closed beta, and I'm having a little trouble anyway finding more information on it. Maybe the information's there and I just haven't come across it yet. But I'm going to keep looking. I want to get some ideas about what else is in the game besides the story. What in its design is supposed to keep us around long term. A little bit more elaboration on the monetization and stuff. But it sounds very promising up front, right? You're going to be able to play it free to play. The story's not going to be paywalled. Basically, weapons and costumes are the monetization. That's all they've really talked about. I don't know if there's going to be more, but it seems very promising. So if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, it sounds like something you're going to just be able to download and play and not have to worry about spending any money unless you want to. So yeah, pretty interesting, pretty exciting stuff. I'm going to keep looking around as I've said, and if I find anything that I think is interesting, we will do videos on it. I'll be dropping videos on this occasionally. And as soon as I get an update on the beta, I'll let you guys know. Hopefully we can get in on that. I don't really know how to make that happen, but we're gonna pay as close attention as we can to try to make that happen. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on this one. What do you think about that monetization? You think that's enough? You think it's too much? Interested to know where you guys are at with this one. I'm getting out of here. I'm excited about it. I hope you're stoked about it too. I'll see you guys later.